Good morning, everybody. This is going to be an update from Hurricane Delta. We're down here in the south central Louisiana this morning. Good morning, everybody, on Periscope and also on YouTube. We're live this morning. So let's go over what's going on this morning. So there's some changes. Nothing's too major different, but anyway, still Hurricane Cat 3 as of this morning. Winds are about 120 miles an hour right on the northeast eye wall. Moving north at 12. And it's moving north at 12 miles an hour right now. It's a Cat 3. We have a major hurricane approaching from the southwest. So as the day goes on, what should happen is that we'll brought a little bit cooler water temps north of the hurricane. So as it approaches the coast later on today, it's going to get a little bit cooler water, and then we've got some wind shear aloft at 200 millibars, the jets in the Texas area. And as that starts interacting with the hurricane, you're going to get some southwest shear coming in up at 200 millibars, like out of the southwest. And what it'll do at that point is it'll induce some more shear and weakening on the southwestern flank. And if we look at radar this morning, which is, I think, probably the most important thing, let's go to satellite here. It's still loading. Satellite looks decent this morning. It's still trying to load. The internet's a little bit slow down here. So let's go to radar. So if I go over here, radar, I'm going to show you that presentation is fairly decent. There's a couple of things I've noticed different about the structure and also just how it's loaded this morning. So if we loop this, this is using the Houston radar because Lake Charles radar is out, but we do have a mobile Doppler radars from OU in the Lake Charles area giving us a live feed. We'll talk about that here shortly. One thing of interest is you'll notice on the loop this morning, in the last hour or so, we've got a fair amount of lightning convection, especially kind of in the north eye wall. About over the last hour, this north eye wall, it's going. So overnight we've had this 25-mile eye, and it's been that way since yesterday. Okay. And partly because as we're getting closer to the hurricane's getting closer to radar range, we're seeing a little bit better definition of the eye. So we have this outer eye. It's got like a double eye structure to the storm right now. But what I've noticed over the last hour is that we've now got a new inner eye trying to close off and form. It's not totally closed off. It's still kind of open here on the southwest flank. If you'll notice this convection, you've got like this double eye wall structure. And we've had in the last 30 minutes, if I leave that there and you look at the loop, look how the bands have gotten really intense. You see how you got that big burst of lightning on this north side? Well, that tells me it's trying to close off, and it's trying to get a little bit, maybe just a little bit stronger, just a little bit. So what I'm impressed with this morning is this closing off of this second eye wall. I don't think we're going to have a higher Cat 3, but what it's trying to tell me is you got this main outer eye wall going on, which is the major eye wall. But if we can get this inner side to close off tighter, it may maintain closer to a 3 as we approach the coast this afternoon and late this afternoon. So this is kind of an evolving deal. The other change, the models are picking up on this really well, and the radar shows it very well. Normally, but no two hurricanes are alike. Normally, you generally have the heaviest wind and the heaviest normally convection on the, I'm going to call it in this northeast, and a lot of times even this northwest and this northeast eye wall right here is where you normally have the heaviest convection. Well, if you'll notice, if you just look at the radar, a lot of the really good convection, it's northwest loaded. So it's really the northwest part of the hurricane that's loaded. Most of the models this morning and overnight, it says as this continues to come up to the north and then northeast up toward Cameron, what happens is that we almost, it's not dry slotted, but it's like most of the heavy convection is going to be on the north and northwest side. So it's going to be places, unfortunately, it's going to be Lake Charles area. It's like Jennings, Lake Charles, Cameron is where the really heavy convection is this afternoon. And what happens is in a hurricane, you have to have, if you're going to get really strong winds, let's say hurricane force and higher, you want to be where these winds, where this really heavy band of convection is. And if that band of convection ends up being closer to Cameron and up to Lake Charles, and this area over here is more or less very light convection or a lot less convection, it's going to be very difficult to get hurricane force winds to the ground. You may get 50, 40 sustained, 50, maybe gusts to 70 or 80. But I will tell you on this morning's new update from both the NHC, National Hurricane Center, and the local zone forecast from the Lake Charles Weather Office, the winds have come down from earlier that was forecasted for Lake Charles and those other areas. So it's not going to be wind-wise, at least over in this part of the state, Lafayette, New Iberia. The winds are going to be less over here. You're still going to have a big storm surge. We're going to talk about that. So my concern is, as a hurricane comes up toward Cameron and in this area, Mount Holly, in this area back here, southwest of Lake Arthur, as I think that the storm surge is going to be bad, but I think more wind damage based on current radar structure is going to be, unfortunately, I think the higher wind threat damage is going to be Lake Charles, Cameron, back over here to the Rockefeller Wild Refuge, back up to Lake Arthur, Jennings. This is where we're going to see 70 plus, maybe gust over 100 in this general area. I know the Lake Charles city forecast has winds gusting to 90. So unfortunately, this is where the higher wind's going to be as this thing comes up. If we have less precip over here, not as much convection, not too bad. The other thing it's going to be is I'm going to turn this radar off just so we can get a better presentation of what's going to happen with the storm surge, and I'll go to a different map. Basically, the models, Cameron is like 4 to 6 feet storm surge here, and then you get like 5 to 8, you get Wild Refuge, and then basically at the Rockefeller Wild Refuge eastward, you're gonna get that 7-11, and it kind of incorporates this area like right in here, ballpark. That's the 7-11. So this is where the massive storm surge is going to be. So as the water comes in like this, and I can tell you the wave heights, let's go to my Barron display here, and we'll talk about wave heights. There it is, by interaction. Okay, so we'll wait for the data to reload here. Let me turn off, get this going. It's trying to load the internet, as you can see is going off and on. So we've had buoys overnight in that 33 to 35 foot. This is not storm surge, this is wave height. So you take that number in half, that's going to get you approximately what the wave height, what the storm surge is going to be. So we got 30 to 35 foot waves just ahead of it. And as you'll see, the gradient is going to pick up a fair amount as we get on up north here a little bit later. Okay, so let me get this cleared, and this cleared telestrator. There we go. And so as this thing approaches up to the north here, and the hurricane keeps tracking these big waves are just offshore right now. If you'll notice, they're probably 10 to 12 feet. But as we get closer to noon, then you're going to start getting these 25 to 30 foot waves just offshore. So that's when the water's really going to come in. It's going to be, I'm going to say the water's going to start rising. We're at low tide outside. I'm going to take you outside here in a minute. We're at low tide where I'm at here at Louisiana coast here. And as we get in the afternoon, that's when the water's really going to rise all along the coast, and things will start going underwater, roads will be impassable, and those kind of things. So basically, that's what's going to happen. Let's go to the NHC track. So what the NHC is looking at is they're talking about doing a coming ashore just to my southwest here, basically where I was yesterday, which is going to be just what was the town that was down there just east of
Chenair?
Yeah,
Chenair?
Yeah. The other town back there. But anyway, it's going to make landfall
Pecan Island?
Yeah, this is going to be west of Pecan Island in Rockford, but southeast of Lake Charles is where the center track is. Well, based on that, again, the heavier wind load is going to be on the left-hand side as far as the rain and convection. It looks like, based on radar and model presentation, storm surges to the right. So that's basically, so it's a Cat 2 at landfall. I think that it's very excellent forecast. It could go down all the way to 1 if the shear increases and it tears apart the inner core as we get in the afternoon. So either high 1 or more of a higher Cat 2. I think a Cat 2 is pretty solid at this point. That's what it looks like. So they got a Cat 2 at 1 o'clock today, and we'll talk about let's turn wave heights off, and computer's locked up here. Okay, so we got a Cat 2, and that's at 1 o'clock, winds gusting 132. And if we do let's see, I want to do a distance finder. So at 1 o'clock today, the hurricane's approximately from the coast about 70, 80 miles offshore at 1 o'clock. Hurricane force winds extend about 40 miles north from the center, okay? So about 40 miles north of the center is where we're going to have the hurricane force winds, and that's about 40 right there. So you'll see from the center, we've got to get this hurricane at least till about at 1 it's there, and it's 40 miles north of that, so they're just offshore at 1 o'clock. So you've got to get probably closer to 4 or 5 o'clock before the hurricane force winds start coming ashore. Down at Creo is the name I was trying to remember a while ago, southeast of Lake Charles, right on the water, and that is the area that is going to start having hurricane force winds as we get toward that 3, 4, 5, 7 o'clock area. So that's kind of the story. Tropical storm force winds extend out 190 miles, so that's a much bigger area. So that's going to pick up this afternoon also. So we're going to go outside now and talk about the town we're in, which is, Doc, let me show you on maps, because that's always the best way to do it, so you get a reference. And let's bring this up. We're here on the southwest coast, southwest of New Iberia. So Lafayette's up here, and then we've got that happens, the water on these back inlets are going to start spilling over, okay? These roads are going to go underwater. Around Abbeville is going to go, parts of Abbeville is going to go underwater. Also, Delcombe's going to go underwater on the east side, especially the east side of town here. And they've already, you see all the roads there, but this is all red on my, if I turn my street loads on, there's no water there now, but this addition right behind me is going to go underwater. So we'll go outside and I'll show you what's going to happen. We're right here on the Delcombe Canal. And let's go outside. It's about 2 feet below the top of the level here. Again, we've already had high tide. We're going down. It's low tide right now. So you can see the water's about 2 feet below the top of the ground. It's really high, but it's again, it's not over. It's not over. But you can see what happens here on this side of town. Water's going to breach the ground. As soon as it gets over this level right here, which will be about 4, then the water it's flat. In fact, it even runs downhill. You know, look, I've done a map, a geo map. I've got the deal. You see this road actually goes down back to the west here. So as soon as it reaches this down, the water's going to flood. Now all these houses here, both modular homes and other houses, are up on still 6 to 9 feet. Those I've got other properties are actually on the ground. Okay? So this is the area that's going to go in the water past. 7 to 11 feet, 7 to 9 feet in this area, and in the worst case scenario, depending on how the storm surge, how high it actually gets. But this is the we're seeing right now by 5 o'clock. So that's kind of the forecast. That's what the rest of the impact. I can tell you just in the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes of it, if I paint up the sky, the wind hasn't been very strong yet, but you know, it's like 10 to 15 where I'm at here. But if I pan up and look at the clouds just above us, then the winds are out just above my head. The winds are out of the kind of the east, you know, east southeast. The winds are probably looking like they're moving at about 40 to 50 above my head. They're moving. That's about 850, about 5,000 feet. The clouds are rocking off to my west here because the hurricane's back to my southwest, and as it approaches, the winds will increase. So we're already we're getting close to tropical storm force winds. I think by noon we'll definitely be in full tropical storm force winds all along the Louisiana coast. By noon we'll be in tropical storm force winds with rain increasing. So that's kind of what's going on right now this morning. Again, hurricane warning all along the coast. Also, you know, Cat 3 currently. We'll see how long it maintains at Cat 3. Quite a few of the models, the last 6 hours for landfall weakens it a fair amount, and then also it kind of has it more open. The eye wall's more open on the south, the southwest, and southeast flank of the eye. So if that does occur, then I think the biggest threat is going to be as that north eye wall comes ashore, and again to the left-hand side of it, where you have convection. That's if you have convection and thunderstorms on the kind of on the left-hand side of the hurricane, then that will force the hurricane force winds and higher to the ground. If you get heavy thunderstorms and convection, those heavier rains will cause those winds that are above my head right now, like at 50. This afternoon, those winds will be over 100 above my head, not at the surface, but aloft. If I'm clear and I don't have any rain, it's virtually impossible to get those higher winds to the ground, because there's no rain forcing the air to the ground and downburst in the hurricane. So if I stay rain-free or less rain, I'm gonna have less wind. That's just how it works. But right now, the model's saying north and northwest of the eye as it comes to shores where most of the convection is. That should be where the most damaging winds are as well. Okay, based on the way I see it right now this morning. And we'll have to watch this hour by hour today. But the biggest story of all for Hurricane Delta, at the end of the day, it's gonna be the storm surge. At the end of the day, it's all about the storm surge. The winds, not so much. Lake Charles, yes, the winds, even a 50-mile-an-hour wind in Lake Charles is going to cause enormous problems with flying debris, tarps coming off houses. I think people have been pounding Lake Charles about the threat there. It's very dangerous with the millions and millions of cubic feet of yards of debris on the ground there, on the sides of the road. The winds get up at 70 and gust 100 over there, which is possible based on the latest forecast. Then there's going to be a lot of flying debris in Lake Charles, and that's going to be a big problem over there, unfortunately. We need to think and pray for those people today, because that's going to be a problem this afternoon. They're going to need a lot of help after this. But the biggest story of all, hands down, is going to be storm surge. Again, Cameron, it's going to be Pecan Island, the same areas that was decimated during Hurricane Laura, is where I was at yesterday. That entire area down there has just been absolutely decimated by Hurricane Laura. And then as we get over here to Vermilion Bay, where I'm at right here, just north of Vermilion Bay, northwest of Vermilion Bay, back to my southeast here, that's going to be the story. 7 to 11 foot storm surge. This is going to be the story at the end of the day with this hurricane. It's a storm surge, hands down. So, and the hurricane, fortunately, this as we get towards 7 o'clock, it picks up speed rapidly as the upper trough grabs it, and it's going to rocket northeast at probably 25 to 30. This thing it really moves out of here after dark tonight. It's going to rapidly lift northward up into central and northeast Louisiana by midnight, and there'll be a wind threat way inland, a good couple hundred miles actually. There's hurricane warnings all the way up to Alexandria, so there is hurricane force winds possible a good from the coastline upward, probably close to 200 miles inland. So that's going to be the other threat. So we have had some tornado warnings this morning overnight over northwest New Orleans, as well as a lot of flash flood warnings. They've had upwards of 8 inches of rain out near Baton Rouge overnight. So the flooding is going to be a problem. They've had some flooding in that area just to my northeast with onshore bands overnight. The tornado threat will increase by this afternoon. Let's talk about that, since I'm a big-time tornado chaser. So from here eastward, the shear is going to be maximized between here and, let's say, New Orleans up to Baton Rouge, to the near Lafayette northeastward. That's where the tornado threat will increase dramatically this afternoon and overnight, as those bands farther east will be maximized. And the computer models do show an intense line of convection over in that area, with onshore flow of intense supercells with tornadoes as we get into the mid-afternoon and early evening. That's where the tornado threat, and I do expect a number of tornadoes off to my northeast today. And also the tornado threat will increase tomorrow as this hurricane unwinds and the winds spread out. As the low tracks rapidly to the northeast, you'll have a lot of wind shear over southeast Arkansas, northern Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee. Look for a fair amount of tornadoes tomorrow as Hurricane Delta unwinds and the winds spread out. There will be tornadoes way inland during the day tomorrow, and that's been outlook. So you got to watch for that. So
people are asking when it's going to make landfall.
Landfall is expected. I'm going to say it's going to be probably 6-ish, 7-ish, somewhere close to that area. It might be just on shore around 7, close to that time frame, right around dark, maybe just before dark. As people are asking online, so anyway, that's what it looks like right now. So again, I think the message right now, it's still Cat 3. I think it looks like the Hurricane Center says the Cat 2 landfall. That looks like an excellent forecast right now from everything I can tell. And the story on this is going to be the storm surge over here, over on the southeast side, Vermilion Bay, and along the coastline. And then the wind story, unfortunately, I believe is going to be more to my west toward Lake Arthur, Jennings, which is where the eye should pass. The eye should go over Jennings, which is just east of Lake Charles, about 25 miles roughly, 25 to 30. And unfortunately, Lake Charles will be in the western, northwestern, and eye wall, or the west of the eye, and that's where the most intense convection looks to be this afternoon and this evening as it moves northeast to the east of Lake Charles. So if they end up with the heavy bands of convection or rain, that's also unfortunately going to bring the highest winds to the rim. So that's kind of my 10,000 foot overview this morning. You see this channel here, we got some little boat dock. Again, we're kind of near low tide right now. Don't expect, you see the flags kind of out of the northeast here. East, northeast on this little boat. So nothing too crazy here. Again, if you'll notice right now, I'm not in much rain. I've had a few showers pass me. I've almost got, not quite partly cloud skies. I've got a mid-level overcast, got some low overcast. The sun's obviously up, but I'm kind of, I don't have a lot of convection right here. And it says, the models say it stays like this most of the day. And where I'm at here in the southeast, down in this area near Vermilion Bay, with occasional bands coming on shore. But again, if I go west from here, much more heavier rain, much more intense thunderstorms, a lot more rain as far as accumulations of weather. But west of here, it's a whole different story. Okay, and we'll bring that to you later as well. So anyway, we're gonna get back with you guys in a couple hours. We're gonna pick a new location. We're gonna leave this area now, and we will get back with you as things change. But I'll look for things to rapidly go downhill as we get to the noon hour, and especially we get in that, let's say 3 to 8. I think that's when the brunt of the worst is going to happen, about 3 to 8 p.m. Here in southern Louisiana. Both the eye coming on shore as well as the heavy rain bands and the storm surge. So, all right, thanks for everybody tuning in this morning. Everybody be safe, and please, if you're in an evacuation order area, please evacuate, because the storm surge is going to be really bad. In fact, the local office here says in this area where I'm at right here, and also Vermilion Bay, they've told people last night, again this morning, the storm surge here will be worse than Hurricane Laura was in Vermilion Bay. So if a hurricane surge in Vermilion Bay you didn't get flooded, this is going to be much more serious in this area and over in Vermilion Bay than Hurricane Laura. So Delta is going to be, it's all about storm surge with Hurricane Delta in the wind back to my west. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful morning.